Are you trying to lose weight using running and not seeing the results that you want? By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to use running to reach your weight loss goals. And before diving into it today, my goal is to help you get in the best shape of your life, to be the happiest, healthiest version of you, to break out of the system. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap that bell so you can be notified when we release new videos. With that being said, let's get into it. Hey, what's up? My name is Schuyler. I'm the founder of Reach Fat Loss and Fitness, where our goal is to help you get in the best shape of your life, lose fat, build muscle, and do it all without counting calories or weighing your food, unsustainable or strict dieting, and without tons of cardio. My goal is to make it as easy as possible, and so if you are looking to get started, I highly suggest you check the link in the description for a beginner's fasting guide. This is going to lay out how you can use fasting to start to see momentum with your weight loss and the other strategies we use to help you achieve those goals. Now, running. Running is something that I do not believe should be the main strategy when you are working on losing weight. I made an entire video going over why. You can check out that video in the link in the description. To sum it up, the 3 reasons I see why is that running tends to spike cortisol. There's typically a higher resistance to get out the door, which makes it harder to show up consistently, and how cardio like this tends to skyrocket your appetite. But here's the deal, right? I know people in my own life who absolutely love running and want to make it a part of their routine while simultaneously dropping weight. And so it's important to emphasize, yes, you can absolutely continue to drop weight while running. Running doesn't make it impossible to drop weight. What I will say is that, yes, it's most likely going to make things a little bit more complex, a little bit more difficult. You might have to be a little more intentional. But if running brings you joy, running is something you enjoy, it's absolutely something that can be included. And in this video, we're going to go over how you can do that. So I've got 3 things I want to cover of what to keep in mind while implementing running. And make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to cover a few pitfalls and a few things that you definitely want to be aware of and potentially avoid. The first strategy I highly recommend is using nasal breathing on your runs. So I've been a runner, I've done the running, and what I can tell you is on those very difficult runs, it is a high focus of mine to be breathing through my mouth and not my nose. But one of the best shifts that you can make for overall longevity is doing nasal breathing on your runs, keeping your mouth closed and just bringing in oxygen and air in and out through the nostrils. There's an entire book called Breath on this subject that I highly recommend if you're looking to understand what this actually does within the body. But the biggest focuses here are, number 1, it's going to lower the hormone cortisol. Cortisol tends to push your body to hold on to more body fat, typically in the stomach area, and it also tends to increase your appetite. And so by nasal breathing, you're going to be able to keep cortisol lower, which is going to keep that appetite lower and allow your body to be more effective at burning fat. Along with that, the cool part is breathing through your nostrils is actually more effective for endurance. It allows your body to produce more nitric oxide, which is basically like a little boost to the energy you have. I have gone on nasal breathing runs so far. What I will say is that breathing through your nose definitely makes things feel more difficult, but this is something that was covered in the book Breath, is even though it makes it feel more difficult, your body's actually more capable of enduring through those things. That is going to be the perfect segue into what I recommend as number 2, which is when you are nasal breathing, it's typically going to force you to slow your pace. Now, I highly suggest that whether you're nasal breathing or not, that this is something that you do. Number 1, from a cortisol perspective, once again, if you are going at the fastest pace you can or the higher pace that you do, the more cortisol your body is likely to produce. Through this, we also have the opportunity to look at what your heart rate is doing. And you can actually measure this with certain fitness trackers. But what you're going to notice is that by slowing your pace, you're going to keep your heart rate lower. Now, typically when we go into the fat burning zones, when it comes to exercise, we're looking for zone 2 of heart rate. This is going to be where your heart is beating anywhere from 70 to 80% of your heart rate max. But what people find is if for a mile plus or 30 minutes or even longer at a time, they're in this pace where their heart rate is in zone 3 or zone 4, yes, you are actively improving your heart health, you're improving your cardio, you're improving your body's ability to utilize oxygen. But again, this is going to put you more into using carbs for fuel rather than body fat. And it's also going to push your cortisol to shoot up. So am I saying never go above zone 2 when you're running? Of course not, but what you should focus on is making the majority of your runs lower with that heart rate, which again mixes in with that first strategy of just breathing through your nose, which is going to force you to slow down your pace. A lot of it is listening to your body here, not feeling like you have to go as fast as possible, but finding a pace where you feel really good, where you can find your breath, and where you can just enjoy the run and let yourself go. Before we get into strategy number 3, I'd love if you could leave me a comment. How often are you currently running? I put a lot of energy into these videos, and I would love to hear from you below. The third strategy I have for you, and arguably the most important, is if you are looking to lose weight while running, you have to overemphasize recovery. I'm going to go over a couple tips of how to do that, but if you are consistently beating your body down with running and you are not recovering enough, yes, you may continuously improve your cardio, but in terms of how your body functions with your metabolism, with energy, with a load of other things, you're probably not going to do as hot if you aren't recovering as much. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see with runners, is that they are constantly going. They think they have to push, and then they don't put as much effort and intention into allowing their body to recover. The got 4 strategies of how to do that today. First being sleep. Gotta prioritize sleep. And this isn't just sleep length, it's sleep quality. Making sure that you have a proper routine at night to wind down, making sure that you aren't eating too late before bed, making sure that you're in a dark and cool bedroom. Sleep quality is going to be so important. Number 2 is eating enough, specifically protein and carbs. Especially if you're burning a lot of carbs when you're running, you are going to need to refuel with carbs. A lot of people get in this weight loss mode, think they have to keep their carbs as low as possible, but if you are running, your body's going to have to use that glucose for energy, so you do want to make sure that you are replenishing it over time. But also, of course, when you're running, you're breaking down your muscles, and so protein is going to be the macronutrient that's going to help you build that up. So where a lot of people go wrong with running is think that they have to exercise, push really hard with running, but then they have to diet, which for most people typically means eat less, which usually leads to them not eating enough nutrients to allow their body to be properly fueled. Doing this in the short term can lead to a big jump in the scale immediately, but can severely damage your hormones and metabolism in the long term, and is definitely something to be cautious about and is something to be avoided. Third strategy I would recommend is taking some sort of ice bath or cold plunge. From a recovery standpoint, this is going to be super effective. Now, something to be aware of here is getting in a cold plunge is going to spike cortisol. And so if you're spiking cortisol with the cold plunge, with the running, with lack of recovery, lack of nutrition, again, this can be damaging, but strategically using this in your routine can be a very helpful thing. And the fourth strategy I'd give you is supplementation. The 3 most important supplements I'd recommend for runners are adaptogens. This would be something like ashwagandha or rhodiola or even lion's mane mushrooms or other adaptogenic mushrooms. What adaptogens allow your body to do is adapt to the stress. So if you're putting your body under stress with the running, with the lack of recovery, it can be very helpful to have these supplements. These also typically reduce cortisol as well, which is something that we always want to focus on. Next would be essential amino acids. I use Perfect Aminos. I did a full review on these, but these are allowing you the protein without the extra calories. Most people who are running and who are working on losing weight do tend to gravitate a little bit lower in their protein range, and so this is going to help you get more in, which is going to help the body repair itself more. And then third would be electrolytes. These are so essential because they allow your muscles to function correctly. They're going to prevent cramping, they're going to prevent headaches, fatigue, they're going to allow you to feel good. I recommend just a typical electrolyte powder. You could use a sea salt, but you definitely want to focus on sodium, magnesium, and potassium as the big 3. All right, those are my strategies of how to lose weight while running. Here are the dangers and the cautions. Number 1, cortisol. Pushing more and doing more is not always the answer, because if we are consistently pushing, we're going to put our body in a state of stress. We're going to spike that cortisol. Our body's going to be more likely to hold on to belly fat, and over time, this can damage our hormones. So again, don't just go balls to the wall with every single run that you do. Make sure you are emphasizing proper recovery. Take the supplementation to reduce cortisol, but keep this in mind as you're training. The second is overtraining and under recovery. This goes hand in hand with cortisol, but do not feel like you need to consistently push with every run. Take easy runs. Breathe through your nose. Slow your pace. Do the occasional run where you really push, but keep most of your runs very light and fluid. If you don't long term, not only can this damage your hormones and your metabolism, but it can also increase the chance of you injuring yourself as well. And then third is just be careful with your hormones along the way. Make sure you're eating enough. Make sure you're recovering enough. Make sure you're listening to your body. Make sure you're taking proper supplementation. This is one big puzzle that should be put together very intentionally because of how important it is. So these are my suggestions. If you are a runner and you truly enjoy it, I highly suggest taking these to heart. If you do not enjoy running, I got great news for you. You don't have to run to lose weight. But of course, if you enjoy it and it lights you up, it can be something that is very healthy as long as you're not overdoing it and as long as you're listening to your body. So if you are running or not running and you're looking to lose weight and you've really struggled with it, I invite you to check the link in the description to check out our free beginner's fasting guide. This is going to get you started with fasting and seeing amazing results with your fat loss. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. And of course, as always, make sure to eat smart, move more, sleep deep, and be grateful for this moment. I'll see you in the next video.